What's up, y'all? It's Kevin, and this is a review video on the website called hord.ca /projects/EOW. And this site claims to be a translator. Oh yes. And let's go over what does EOW stand for. Well, it stands for English Omsteende Woordboek. Okay, so the first part, English, is quite simple, just English. Then Omsteende. This is pretty interesting because thing is onsteend, that alone, without the e at the end, it just means one who ascends, or one who have some notes over on my computer. I'm just looking. One who ascends or mounts as a masculine noun. So, and he put the e on there. I don't know. I guess he was trying to say English. Mounts word book. I'm not too sure what he's trying to say, but anyway, and word book is kind of if we didn't have the word dictionary, it would be word book. It's kind of one of those words that if it survived, I don't know how to word this, because in German you have Wörterbuch, that's dictionary, and that's literally word book, and in other Germanic languages it's more or less the same variation. You know, it's the same general two words of word and book put together. Anyway, so about the site itself, well, it has a good introduction. It explains concisely of what Old English is, and it dispels the old misconception that when people think of Old English they think of Shakespeare, but no. But this site clearly goes in to say that this is about Anglo-Saxon. Puts a disclaimer that this was created by a dedicated enthusiast, if you will, or amateur of this, and it's really important that, and the good on this person created the site, who puts the notes on the translation. He has a page titled Notes on Translation, and he talks about more in depth of like how it's, well, not how it's done, but like how the site more or less functions and whatnot. And how it works is that it's by single word, right? So if you only do one word, and it really does that. But it gets a little better though. But when we have the search functions here, my thoughts on them, they're quite limited. But I have to hand it to this guy. Like it's just one guy. He did it himself. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, it's pretty ambitious to pull off something like this. They're limited, but and I'll just go over some of the functions you can do. You can set it so that you can change from modern English to Old English, or you can have it both, either or from Old English to modern English. You can also, as for your search results, you can set it whether you can get them in alphabetical order or not. And there's a function for a match word, and a function for whether you want accents or macrons on your vowels, essentially. As far as that goes, I mean, however, there are no dots in the C's and G's. I mean, that's alright in my book. I mean, these C's and G's are a modern invention anyway. And macrons are accents. And for those of you who don't know, they more or less have the same function. I mean, you could go farther and put circumflexes. Those are like little chapeaus, little hats over the letter. So I mean, I've seen some of that in German language grammar books of Old English. They do that. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, yeah, German language grammar books on old languages. Well, pick an old language. They're interesting. They're written a bit differently than old English language grammar books anyway. So moving on to this review, that with the search results. So for example, I typed in the word love. I gave a number of entries. What I like about it gives the part of speech as well. But the problem of this website, it doesn't give, or I haven't found a legend that would explain the little abbreviations, like what does NF mean, or what does you know, these little, like, I know these things because I studied languages, but like for someone who doesn't have a background, they would be kind of lost and whatnot. and as well, the entries, they don't really give context, right? I mean, they don't explain they don't show examples of how the word is used. I mean, that's a bit more ambitious to do, but it's very basic. It's very primitive, if you will. But however, I have to give a good point though. What it does, you let's say you type in the word love in Old English, and you can find phrases, but that's all you're gonna get. Just I think it's constructed phrases, because you gotta bear in mind, translation is really an art, and excuse me. And when I typed in love, I did find ich liefje thee, which means I love you, or if you were to translate literally, I love thee, because thee evolved into thee, and anyway. And that was great, and the cool thing too is that if you click on some words, especially with nouns, and this is a good point. What I like about for nouns, that if you, let's say, type in the word love, and then you look on the right and look for view inflections, and what that does, it gives you the page where it shows you the inflection table or declension table, that you see what it is for the nominative, the accusative, the genitive, the dative, and the instrumental. I find that impressive. That's very good. That's very, very good. And going back to the ich liefje result I got, I clicked on ich, and I found all these entries for ich, meaning I in Old English, and then I is in the pronoun, like I am. Anyway, for those of you who were in the beginnings of Old English. Anyway, and it said view inflections for that, or view declensions. I forget what it exactly said, but it showed all of them, like for plural, dual, singular. Like, wow, this is impressive. I mean, this is really useful. But my only nitpick, is that when it shows for the word for thatch, it puts an accent. It puts a macron over thatch, over the e in thatch, and I think, oh, that's a bit off. But hey, I find having those. But to be fair though, having those tables there are very essential and very helpful and whatnot. So that's something to bear in mind. What else do I have here? My final thoughts. Would I recommend this this translator and this website? Yes, I would. I would. I haven't used it really much myself, but given its functionality and how in depth it can be for someone who's new to Old English, yeah, certainly. It's so yeah. So I would recommend this site, especially for new people and whatnot, as opposed to other sites. But and that's it pretty much for this review for hord.ca/projects/EOW. And whoever made this site or made this translator or watching this, thank you. It's thank you they. Anyway, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe. I make videos every Saturday and sometimes surprisingly throughout the week. And if you really like my material, please like my Facebook and Twitter down below. And if you want to help support the show financially, please become a patron on my Patreon page down below as well. I mean, you can pledge as low as $1 a month. I mean, if a bunch of you did that, that would be great. But it show because that money would go into supporting these videos, and it helped me grow the channel. I can do all sorts of things. I get props and better equipment and all that stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching, and bye bye.